Let me start with Kristi Noem. What happened? Yesterday, something happened in Washington. Looked a little like chaos. Looked like, trouble. And I'm not sure. Maybe it is. I'm not sure. Kristi Noem is out as Department of Homeland Security Secretary. And in her place, a guy named Senator Mullin. Now, let me start with Noem. She wasn't fired. She was moved. And she was moved into something that was like, what the hell is that? I've never even heard of that. Doesn't even fully exist yet. It's a position called the Special Envoy for the Shield of the Americas. We are going all Marvel comic. I mean, this guy is all Marvel comic. Okay. Let me translate what this usually means in Washington, and may mean this time. I mean, what I'm going to give you here is going to give you facts, and then I'm going to speculate on them. So, take it for what it's worth. When a president moves somebody into a job that hasn't been fully defined yet, it usually means one of two things. Either A, yeah, bye-bye, you're being pushed aside. Or B, you're being moved in to run something that is bigger but isn't public yet. Okay? And if you look at the timing, this doesn't feel like a demotion. And I'm getting mixed signals because some things it looks like Donald Trump is pissed at her about, et cetera, et cetera. So I really don't know, because this is speculation. But it feels like a reorganization of the battlefield, because it's the shield of the Americas. I know that doesn't mean anything, but follow me on this. Right now, the United States is looking at a hemisphere and a hemisphere problem that most Americans still don't fully understand or see. When Donald Trump was running, and I've told you this before, but it's worth repeating. When Donald Trump was running for re-election, we were standing backstage someplace, and he was getting ready to go on. He said, "You want to look like a prophet? You know what you need to talk about? You just keep talking about Panama." And I'm like, right. And then he goes on stage, and I'm like, what am I going to say about Panama? What does that mean? I don't even know what that means. Panama is going to be in the news everywhere next year. And then he walks on stage. And I came back and I went, does anybody understand what he's talking about with Panama? What's happening in Panama? We all looked at each other like nothing is happening with Panama. What are you talking about? Remember when he gets in, what does he say? Panama. We want the Panama Canal back. And you're like, what? Where is this coming from? Because he understood what was happening with Panama and China. China had taken the entire Panama Canal and was controlling it. Then what happens? He starts talking about Greenland, also in our hemisphere. Then what happens? He's talking and making moves on Venezuela. Then what happens? He's talking about, who's next? Cuba. Okay. Whew. Cuba, Russia, cartels operating like parallel governments across Mexico and Central America, Chinese ports being built all over Latin America, Russian intelligence operating out of Caracas, Iranian proxies using the region for logistics and staging grounds, and every other president has treated Latin America like an afterthought. But now what's happening? It's not an afterthought anymore. The Southern Hemisphere has become the new front line of great power competition. He is declaring the Western Hemisphere is ours, okay? And DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, was not designed for that. DHS created after 9/11, and that's a whole different can of worms, and we can get into that some other time. But it was built to stop terrorism inside of the United States, at our airports, at our borders, disaster response, blah, blah, blah. But what the president is doing now is different, and different than any other president has done probably since Theodore Roosevelt, okay? This is hemisphere-level instability. We have the migration waves, we have state collapse, we have cartels that are moving people and drugs and weapons and intelligence. We have foreign adversaries embedding themselves inside of all of that chaos. So if you're the president and you're looking at the world and you're saying, we have got to shore up America to make sure we last another 150, 250 years, another 150 minutes at times, I feel like. You don't just run Border Patrol. You build a hemisphere defense system. You make sure that our darkest, Russia, China, Iran are not running operations in this hemisphere, okay? Which may explain the phrase shield of the Americas. Think about the name. It's not border control. It's not immigration enforcement. It's a shield of the Americas, the entire Western Hemisphere. That doesn't sound like DHS. That sounds more like strategic security architecture for the Western Hemisphere, doesn't it? Or he's just been watching Marvel comics. Okay, but to me, the shield for the Americas, sounds a little bit more like something like NATO. Intelligence sharing, cartel disruption, migration control, counter-China operations. And if that's what's being built, you would need somebody who understands a few things: border security, state governments, law enforcement, and migration policy. Well, I mean, isn't that Kristi Noem? I mean, that's her entire resume, isn't it? So the story may not be Noem fired on the outs. The story might be Noem redeployed. Now let me talk about the second half of this move, because while she goes outward to whatever is coming next, and the president said he's going to be talking about that this weekend, Trump brought somebody inward, Senator Mullin. Who is Senator Mullin? He's a former MMA fighter. He's a business owner. He's a senator, and he's controversial. Some critics inside MAGA circles, some of them, accuse him of being too establishment. He has done things like business loans during COVID. He's got ethics complaints. He votes, against MAGA sometimes. Fine. Okay. Not my favorite, but debate is healthy. And the real question is not personality, it is function. If the White House is creating a new Western Hemisphere security structure, then DHS is about to become something different. Not a political platform, not a messaging department, but an operational machine. Mass deportations continue, border enforcement, domestic security, logistics, and Mullin, love him or hate him, has a reputation in Washington as somebody who picks fights and then executes orders. That's what Donald Trump wants. A fighter who can execute what he orders. Okay, that's his resume, and that tells me something important. This may not be a personnel shakeup. It may be the move in a larger security strategy, and a strategy built around the simple realization that for the next 20 years, America's biggest threats may not come across the ocean. They may come across our own hemisphere. Think of Mexico. And if that is true, then the United States may be about to build something we haven't had since the Cold War, a continental defense doctrine for the Americas. And if that's what Shield of the Americas turns out to be, yesterday was not a firing. Yesterday was the first chess move on a board none of us have been thinking about.